Welcome everybody to the Icon Producers webinar. We do this every other week, and we're going to bring valuable content week after week, every other week after week, I should say. And today we're talking about how to win in a multiple offer situation game. This is a critical topic, and we're going to share tactics, strategies with you that are actionable, that you can implement and deploy immediately. And I mean right now in your business to make sure that that next offer you write for one of those buyers gets accepted. And you're going to get the best of the best from the top producing agents from around the world. Guys, we got Shon Kokoszka, Lee Jennings, David Torgerson, Kevin Yoder, and Todd Watkins. And guys, we just want to pour into you for the next 58 minutes. That's our intention. We're going to pour into you for the next 58 minutes. So sit down, buckle up, get your pen and your notepad ready, because they're going to come at you fast, furious, these ideas, these strategies. And I want to make sure that you can just gain that knowledge and the skills to really crush it in 2021, especially in today's market. So welcome to our panelists. Shon, introduce yourself real quick.
Yes, my name is Shon Kokoszka. I work in the Los Angeles market. Been in real estate for 16 years. Came out of the auto industry before that for 15 years. Anybody bought a car in here, you know what that's like. Sold 36 homes my first year. Averaged about 35 to 37 homes a year, every year for the last 16 years.
I told these guys to vibrate, to put their cell phones on vibrate. Right? And sadly, mine is on vibrate, but it still rang. I don't know. I'm just going to shut it off. Shon, thank you. Anything else you want to add, buddy?
No, just thank you for inviting me. Appreciate being here, and I'm looking forward to share. We're all in a crazy market here.
I invited you because you can bring so much value to these people. Way to go. Lee Jennings, introduce yourself real quick.
Yeah, and so my name is Lee Jennings. I'm an agent in Seattle, Washington, and I've been in the business about 15 years. I have been paroled from property management, and I've been enjoying being in production and just really excited to be here. Way
to go, Lee. Fantastic. David Torgerson from Montana. Big Sky, take it away.
Thank you. Yeah, David Torgerson from Helena, Montana. And I'm actually just looking in here and I see some people from Montana. So I got to give a big shout out to you guys, because of course there's like only 15 of us in the entire state. Yeah, happy to be here.
Right on. Kevin Yoder.
Hey everyone, Kevin Yoder. I'm a real estate professional out of Grand Rapids, Michigan, and I've been in the business for about 19 years, feels like 50. And run a team here. Just really enjoy what I do, and most importantly, helping other people is what I really thrive on. And I hope to do the same here today. And thanks for having me.
You got it, Kevin. Thank you. Last and certainly not least, Mr. Watkins.
Yes, thank you, Shon. Man, I'm over here in Washington State as well, but southeastern corner. So Kennewick, Richland, Pasco, affectionately known as the Tri-Cities area. Starting my 17th year here, and just enjoying the new cycle. It's interesting to see how real estate sales transitions, or really as it goes in cycles. And this new cycle that we're going through, I think it's amazing for those that just put their head down and get to work.
Absolutely. So everybody, do me a quick favor, get your pen ready. And I want you to write down iconproducers.com. We're going to do this every other week. And as soon as this one's over, we're going to update that landing page, and you can register for the next one that we're going to be doing. And we're going to be talking about, in 2 weeks' time, we're going to talk about how to gain listings in a low inventory market, additional strategies and tactics. So let's open it up to today's discussion. I mean, obviously, with interest rates at historic lows, buyers flooding the market, and inventory being reduced in some markets by up to 70%, guys, it creates a feeding frenzy. It's that FOMO, right? I have a client on the East Coast put a listing on the market, 72 offers in 4 hours. You know what that means? 71 realtors didn't get paid. Now I've got the ultimate strategy. I'm just going to give it to you right off the bat, real quick, guys. The ultimate strategy on how to win in a multiple offer situation every single time. Be the listing agent. That's the bottom line. Be the listing agent, and the listing agent wins in a multiple offer situation every time. However, you might have that listing, you got it under contract, those sellers are displaced, they're homeless, they need to buy a home, and of course they're looking to you for guidance. So let's talk about the strategies that are going to get you and them what they want. All right, so let's open it up, guys, and it's just kind of a free-for-all today, okay? The interrupter rules. You guys are going to step all over each other. That's okay, because it's about meat per minute. So let's dive in. What's your number one strategy? Somebody take the mic.
Well, I'll just hop right in and share, Sean. One of my favorite ones is I went to one of the local moving companies here in the area and negotiated a reduced rate. And basically, every buyer is making offers to pay for the sellers to move locally, so that to make it easier for them to move. I mean, because at the end of the day, you know, this is a seller's market, and the sellers are, I don't want to say prima donnas, but they're just like, you know what, I don't need to do anything. So why not make it as easy as possible for them to say yes to yours? Less stress, less mess, and it has been working out well for me.
So I love it, Todd, to make their lives as easy as possible. Guys, oftentimes it's not the highest offer that wins. It's the one that's going to be the easiest for the seller to kind of align with, right? So paying a moving company, hey, we'll come in and box up all your stuff. Don't worry about doing any of that. We're going to take all the dishes, we're going to wrap them, we're going to put them in boxes for you. Heck, you could even pay for a cleaning crew to come in after the movers have come out and pay for the house to be cleaned as well, or at least to get the buyers maybe to step up and make that happen, right?
Absolutely.
So again, sometimes it's the easiest offer. Mr. Policino, let's come over to you. What's a strategy that you're engaged with right now that would help you win in a multiple offer situation?
Great, thanks. I'm going to share 1.5 because Kevin's going to share 7.5. I'm going to share 1.5. So the half that I'm going to share is, as an agent, you have to have a proactive mindset. So before you even start working with any clients, think about what can I do in advance. So for me, I'm always in this proactive mindset. So that's the half. The full one that I want to share is utilize the gift letter. Now I'm in California, so it might be different in your state, but a gift letter is when a family member, a friend, somebody is going to loan money or gift money, gift money to the buyer. And now your buyer may not be using gift funds, but they may have a mom or dad that has a couple $100,000 in a 401k. And when you write that initial offer, if the parent is willing to put in a gift letter that they're going to gift $100,000 to the buyer, write your offer with the $100,000. In our contracts, the buyer has the right to change their loan program within their loan contingency. So if they're coming in initially with an FHA offer at 3%, 3.5% down, their offer is going to look pretty weak. And they're going to go, if you're in a multiple offer, 15 offers, they're going to go to the bottom of the pile automatically. But if you show that initial offer with 100K down, now you're up there at the top, and they can change their program, you know, after the offer's already been accepted, which is what we want. We want the offer to get accepted. So I've used this strategy just in the last 2 weeks with 3 VA buyers that were putting no money down. And in LA, we've got them into escrow. So.
Wow. That is brilliant, Sean. Brilliant. So you go to a friend or a family member, somebody who has maybe a 401k, a self-directed IRA, maybe a large stock portfolio. They can volunteer to gift those funds. And in the state of California, according to Sean, and I'm no attorney in the state of California, that's for sure, what you can do is change the financing terms leading up to that. Now, obviously, Sean, I just want to go a little bit deeper on this because I can only imagine what people are thinking. Multiple offer situation, it's bid up 20% above the request price. It's a VA loan. How do they bridge the gap? And with the appraisal issue, talk to me.
Yeah, so that's the other thing is we just had a VA buyer with that exact problem. The offer that we made had a escalation clause in it, which is another thing you can do to make your offer more competitive in this market, is to increase what that is language that says, you know, my buyer is willing to pay $1,000 over your highest offer up to $390,000. And we felt that over $380,000, we were to probably be in appraisal trouble. So with a VA offer, you can't release your appraisal contingency because it's the law basically that the seller has to give the buyer a appraisal contingency in a VA and FHA offer. So we put that appraisal contingency, basically language that said the buyer's willing to pay $10,000 over the appraised value. Now our buyer only had $10,000. So we went to the lender. The lender gave the buyer a lender credit to cover the closing costs. So now our buyer had $10,000 to be able to cover that difference between potential.
That's fantastic. Way to go, man. I love it. I love it. Now, you mentioned escalation clauses. How many of you guys on the webinar are using escalation clauses right now? Okay, so success leaves clues, right? Success leaves clues. Now, here's my input. And I always did this maybe a little bit differently than what you might expect. And again, full disclosure, talk to your broker, talk to your attorney before you would take any action with the strategy. Yet, like you said, up to 390,000. I never used the up to language because I wanted my buyers to be in the driver's seat. Okay. Let's trick the seller into countering the offer. Now, hear me on this. Okay. So buyer agrees to pay $5,000 above any other bona fide offer presented to seller. Listing agent agrees to give evidence of said offer to buyer agent along with the scanned page of special provisions, whatever the language says. You'll get it from your counsel, you get it from your broker, okay? Then I would say the purchase price of this agreement is, and I do a $ and a blank. And then under that, I would put seller's initials and a couple of blanks, buyer's initials, a couple of blanks, and I would scan it, I would send it over to the listing agent or send it for electronic signatures, whatever. Then they would print it off. And let's say that the highest offer was $500,000 on a $450,000 house. Then they would I would force the counter. Now hear me on this. So they'd say, okay, the highest offer is 500. They want us to fill in the blank. It's 505. Seller would initial it. They would scan it, send it back to us. Now, when the buyer gets that, they might say, Shon, the highest I was willing to go was 475, 490, right? Tops. I can't do 505. Well, then we just simply reject the counter. We rescind the offer and say, hey, go back to your $500,000 offer. Do it quickly. It's a little bit too rich for my buyer's blood. Simple as that. But I forced the counter, you understand. I got my buyer's foot in the door. Then they were in the driver's seat. They got to decide whether or not they wanted to accept that price. See, because here's the challenge with putting it up to. What if somebody came in at 391, Shon? You follow me?
Yeah.
You could potentially lose out. Or somebody says, I'll pay $1,000 more than anything at 395. You lose.
Yeah.
And yet at today's interest rates, guys, it costs less than $4 per month per thousand that they're borrowing. Think about it. Let's break it down to the simplistic. It was an extra $10,000. Guess what? It costs them $40 a month. $40 a month. I mean, $4 per thousand, that's less than the cost of a Happy Meal. And if you lose this house over $4 a month, that wouldn't make you very happy, would it? Of course not. All right.
Got 3
Great.
kids, not in my house.
Way to go, Shon. All right, let's go to Lee Jennings. Share with us a strategy.
Shon, I was going to throw in, one of the cautions I'd say with those escalation clause addendums, I'm sure for everybody here is as a listing agent, we love seeing those escalation clauses because it lets us know the buyer showing their cards on exactly how high they're willing to pay. And so that is a caution that you as a buyer's agent, you should be aware of, is that even though you're saying, well, we'll go up to this amount, even if you're 20 grand low, I've seen deals where we've had one person do an escalation clause and the next closest offer was 15 grand less. So we went to the seller and said, Mr. Seller, if we try to do the escalation clause, we're going to miss out. Let's just counter these guys back and say, you know what, we'll take your offer right now at your max price. And a lot of times they do it. And so we move forward. So that's just, I guess, a caution or to the word to the wise with other agents, that if you do that, there are people that will know and take advantage. I shouldn't say take advantage, but make sure that the seller gets the best offer. That's what they're hired to do.
Fantastic, Todd. Way to go. Lee Jennings, what's a strategy that you're using to win in multiple offer situations?
So I did a deal recently where we walked into the house. There was an offer review date of probably 3 or 4 days after that. The buyer literally turned to me and said, how do we get this house? I contacted the listing agent, and this sounds kind of crazy, but I had the listing agent essentially help me write the offer. I essentially, he walked me through exactly what seller was looking for. And my buyer was very aggressive and was willing to increase their other earnest money to, I think, really probably double what would be customary on a listing of that size, and also make it go non-refundable. That's very aggressive, but it essentially got us the deal.
Way to go, Lee. All right. You know what that is, Lee? Everybody, you know what that is? It's
Winning.
Winning. I love it when you guys are winning. It's phenomenal. Okay, over to you, David Torgerson. Talk to us.
Yeah, so the number one thing that we're doing is just communicating with the listing agent. And So on my notes here, I put an exclamation on this, get granular. So just get really granular with the deal. What is the closing date that the seller wants? Where are they moving? What's important to them? And a lot of the listing agents will tell you things that they probably shouldn't tell you either, which is a lot of fun. So one of the deals that we worked, the listing agent actually told us that the price wasn't really that important to them. That they know that it's going to go above asking. They're going to get multiple offers, but there was a little bit of, I don't know, it was almost like righteous indignation for how fast the market had gone up. And so I was able to, just hit the high points of what my buyer was going to bring to the table. And I did describe them, as they would like to be described. And it actually did get us the deal because the agent conveyed that over. But the other thing that we've done, and we've run into this a lot, so we'll try to communicate with the listing agent, but then the listing agent won't communicate with us. So we're calling the listing agent, we're texting the listing agent, we're calling the listing agent's office, we're going to the listing agent. I mean, like, we're doing everything that we can to get in touch with the listing agent, and they're not communicating with us. So what we started doing, and not every buyer is willing to do this, because it takes nerves. So we actually coached our buyers on a script that we have. We have the buyers go over to the seller's house. At a time when we know it's pretty reasonable that they're going to be there. Most everybody's working from home. Most everybody has, dinner from about 5:30 to 7 o'clock. So we try to time it between like 4:30 and 5:30. And the script is really simple. They go and they knock on the door and they say, "Hello, this is very awkward for me, and I know it's awkward for you. We have submitted an offer on your home, and our buyer's agent is trying to get in touch with your listing agent, and for whatever reason, they're too busy. They haven't been able to communicate. What do we have to do in order to buy your home? Like, what's really important?" And then they just convey the information back to us. And then if we need to, we amend our offer and then send it back over to them.
That's brilliant. No, I'm telling you guys, I trust you wrote that down, underline it, put some exclamation marks behind it, because you as an agent, it would be unethical for you to go knock on that seller's door. You'd get sanctioned, you'd get fined, you might even have your license suspended or lost. Now, there is nothing in the code of ethics that says your buyer can't go over and knock on that seller's door. You understand? There's nothing that says that. And if your buyer truly wants this house, they'll put their ego at risk a little bit to go over and talk to that seller and say, "Please accept my offer. What do I need to do?" Right? What do I need to do? Now, by the way, we just started streaming live on Facebook as well. Okay, so those of you on Facebook watching, welcome. We're talking about how to win in multiple offer situations. And of course, I shared a moment ago, the number one strategy is be the listing agent. You win every time. Yet we're talking about if you're representing the buyer, how do you make sure that your buyer's accepted, your offer's accepted? Now, I want to share one strategy with you real quick. Contact the listing agent right away. It hits the market 9 a.m. You've shown it to your buyer by 9:30 because you're on top of it, right? Contact the listing agent immediately and say, "Can you contact your seller and ask them what is their golden ticket number? If we submit the offer in the next 30 minutes, that they will just sign it, accept it, they won't even consider any other offers. What is that golden ticket number?" Listing agent contacts you back. Ideally, it happens right away. You write the offer, you get it done and done. Now, here's another strategy. I call this the seller bonus strategy. Now, tune in, guys, pay attention. Seller bonus strategy. Let's say they're asking $500,000 for the house. You contact the listing agent. You were the first one to see it. You were on top of it. And you say, "What's the golden ticket number?" They say $600,000 and it's yours. Here's my input. Write the offer at $550,000. Under additional or special provisions, what I want you to do is state, if this offer is accepted by 12 p.m. today, the purchase price is $600,000. Now, guys, what that does, it puts time pressure on them, doesn't it? Get that offer presented, we'll get it accepted, and guess what? You get a bonus of $50,000 in this case, because we wrote it at $550. Did I say those numbers right? So they're asking 500. They said 600 was the golden ticket price number. You write the offer at 550 and state, if the offer is accepted by 12 p.m. today, the purchase price is $600,000. So it's like it puts some time pressure. You guys with me on this? All right,
Urgency.
love it. Okay, Kevin Yoder, let's go over to you, buddy. What's your number one strategy?
Yeah, okay, I was typing as fast as I could on that one, Sean. That was gold. Thanks for sharing. And David, wow. I love that. So this is awkward for me, and I know it's awkward for you. It sounds like my first date with my wife. That's exactly what I said. So I'm going to give you 2.5. Okay. Number one, and I'm going to take a page out of Sean's book here. This is the mindset piece. It's the mindset of a buyer, realizing that we have to coach them into a winning strategy and a winning mindset. The buyer's mindset, it sounds something like this isn't your mom and dad's real estate market anymore. We realize that the goal, the target is no longer what deal can I get on the property, but rather how can I live in the home? And we do have to have our numbers at hand, our calculators out, because just like Sean said, breaking the number down, the payment is really what matters. It's affordability. $3 for every $1,000, $4 for every $1,000, $3.50. Know those numbers, multiply it out. And I like to reduce it to the ridiculous too, but I break it down to pizza. So look, it's like a large pizza a month. Are you really going to let your dream home slip away over a couple large pizzas, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer? Probably not, right? And so we all know that most buyers will not lose their dream home until that dollar amount that we just referred to, the pizzas, equal or exceed that of another tangible payment. And guess what? It has to be a big amount for that to ever get up to a car payment or anything else. And most of the time, if we have them openly admit, if they strike out a couple bad habits here and there, it will also represent that dollar amount. Okay, there's the one. Now, the other thing, the tangible is we're using video email. So like Sean said, the best strategy to win in a multiple offer situation, be the listing agent. Just is. And so what you also get from doing that is you get the insights on what it takes to win an offer because you're on the receiving end of that. You take out a spreadsheet and you document all those offers and you see what it took to win. Now you can take that data and provide it to your buyer. The winning offer on a listing that I had a couple weeks back, he did this so well that I copied it and I shared it with several agents on my team and others, is he documented the offer details in a video email. He used BombBomb. He held his phone up to my screen and on there he had a still image and it read offer time right across the front of it, right in the video, just like that, offer time. I'm like, that's really good. Then he bullet pointed the offer through video. Kevin, here's my buyer's offer. Price is this. Earnest money deposit is this. They're pre-approved with insert the lender name. Of course, I knew the lender, closing date, EMD, everything just perfect there. I didn't have to dig through the purchase agreement to find those details. It was done expertly and I loved it. So we have adopted that. And one of my agents just told me that she got an offer. Actually, 2 agents this week that I shared that with had accepted offers using that exact thing. Okay, here's the 0.5. Going back to the earnest money deposit.
Well, hold on. Don't go there yet. Hold on. I want to talk about BombBomb just for a second.
Yeah.
There's a watch timer on BombBomb. You understand? So let's just say that this video that you're going to send to the listing agent summarizes your offer. And the first thing you're going to mention is the price. Okay. Now, hear me on this. BombBomb has the watch timer, meaning as soon as they open it up, you're notified via text and email. As soon as they finish the video, you're notified via text and email. And it states, okay, your video is 3 minutes and 50 seconds long. They only watched the first 12 seconds. Does that give you an indication whether or not your offer price was good enough? Think about it. The first thing you mention is the price, right? Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Listing Agent, this is Shon Kokoszka. I'm with eXp Realty. And guys, I am so excited to submit this offer to you. I want to just quickly bullet point it for you. The purchase price is $550,000. Look at the timer. Okay, where are you at on the time? If they only watched that much of it, you know that your price isn't high enough. Just give you some indication. Talk to me.
True. That's true.
Yeah, that's ninja. I love that.
All right, keep going. 0.5.
0.5, earnest money deposit. I see, we call them EMDs here in Michigan. I don't know what y'all call them, but good faith, earnest money deposit. We see silly amounts. And where did that come from? $1,500, $500. Look, it's go big or go home. If that buyer has a down payment, i.e. 10%, 20%, it's sitting in their bank account. All we're simply doing is suggesting slide it over from your bank account, earning close to 0 interest, to the title company's escrow account waiting for that closing to happen. And then you can show that seller that you mean business. So imagine that seller receiving an EMD, earnest money deposit check, or a photocopy of that for, I don't know, $40,000, $50,000 or more. And so if that, make it match the down payment amount. They're not going to look. Now you got to be on your toes here. Don't miss your window of opportunity for due diligence, right? Because if you, that's a big thing there. You got to make sure you're on top of that. But so long as you're on top of it, then your buyer is at zero risk of losing the earnest money deposit. I have found that 9 times out of 10, the amount of the earnest money deposit is driven mostly off the agent's mindset around that topic beyond anything else. Their influence on that buyer is massive. If they're thinking small, they're going to transfer that small thinking to their buyer. So stop that, get your paradigms out of the way and go for a big EMD.
That's so true. And
go ahead.
I just like to add in California, in Los Angeles or in California in general, only 3% of that, if you put 100K down and that's what they're going to put down anyways, only 3% of that is at risk. And it says that right in the earnest money section. So it's another Jedi mind trick.
Good point. Excellent points, both of you guys. I mean, I'd write offers on $2 million properties and we'd put $1 million earnest money check up. Think about this. If you got a cash buyer and you're afraid you might lose out to another cash buyer, why not just give the whole amount of the purchase price as earnest money? Think about this. What does that say to the seller, by the way? What does it say to the listing agent? And you got 15 offers. The highest other earnest money check is 10 grand. And here you are at 20, 40, 70, $200,000 earnest money. It says you're serious. It says the buyer's serious, that they intend to close on this property. Seriously. Guys, great idea. Great strategy, Kevin. I personally use that with great success, by the way. Great success. Way to go. Now, another thought that
I got that from I don't want to interrupt. I got that from an investor that was sharing his strategies on Bigger Pockets a couple of years back on how he was just blowing everybody out of the water and no other investor was doing this. He's like, you're silly. It's the easiest way to do it. You already have the money anyway. Okay, there it is. Yeah.
I love it. Okay. So how many of you guys are frustrated when a listing agent just kind of gets your offer, kind of ignores the offer, and even though you put an acceptance deadline by 7 p.m. tonight, they just let that acceptance deadline come and go? Anybody frustrated about that? Yeah, I was frustrated even in markets not like today when it was more of a buyer's market and the listing agent was just nonchalantly kind of approaching this business. They let the acceptance deadline come and go. I'd say don't let the cat out of the bag. Now for you feline lovers, I do apologize. It's just a figure of speech, okay? Yet don't let the cat out of the bag with the listing agent. You show the property to their buyers. Your buyers say, I want to make an offer. That's fantastic. Let me call the listing agent. Call the listing agent and say, hey, I'm working with a great couple. They're considering making an offer on your listing over here at 123 Main Street. However, they're also considering another property just right around the corner from your listing. Let me ask, if I can get them to sway your direction and make the offer on your listing, tell me, how quickly can you present the offer? Get their verbal commitment right up front, because the listing agent, guys, they still want something from you at this point, right? They want that offer. They don't want you to write on the other listing. They want you to write on theirs. So they'll go and say, oh, I could get it done by 3 p.m. today. All right, so if I do get them to swing your direction and I put an acceptance deadline by say 3:30, is that okay? I mean, do we have a deal? Now, most people want to stay true to their word. You nailed them down. They're going to present it by 3:30. So 3:30 comes and goes, then you can actually, you've now got the foundation to be pissed off at them. You understand? You told me you were going to present it by 3:30, right? Rather than just nonchalantly writing it in, praying and hoping that this listing agent is going to do what you're asking them to do. Guys, it doesn't work that way. Don't let the cat out of the bag. All right. Other ideas, other strategies. Talk to me. How do you win multiple offer situations?
I want to piggyback on what you just said, Shon. One thing that I teach my agents is on that. Can I have a commitment? And that, just like you said, this is right out of Cialdini's book, Influence. People want to follow through with their commitments. Ask them to make you a promise. And once they say, sure, I can make that promise. Great. Thank you for making that commitment. And just let it sit for a minute, right? Just let it simmer for a moment. Thank you for making that commitment. People do want to follow through with their commitments. Whether they actually do or not is a completely other thing, but they really want to validate that. So yeah.
I love it. It elevates the tone of the professionalism as well. I mean, it really sets the stage. I think it's fantastic. So I'm surprised, one of the other number one ways I should say that you can avoid multiple offers is just buy new construction. But that may even be going away. I'm hearing rumors that there's people that are doing lotteries now with lots with lumber prices and everything else that are going. So that may be going away in the future. But I think, mindset in the preparation is truly where everything has to start from get-go. You need to have a buyer consultation with the buyers. Don't be running and meeting them at the first home. Be a Pop-Tart agent where you just pop because they're ready to go look at a house, right? Get them, meet you at your office. Go meet them at Starbucks. Do a buyer's needs analysis. Get them to sign an exclusive buyer representation agreement with you and set the stage. Say, look, this is where we're getting into a dogfight, and this is going to be a dog-eat-dog world, and it's going to be tough. And I would say share. And I basically have got, sheets of strategies of what we've been talking about here. I share these with the buyers up front and say, look, this is a list of different strategies that we may have to implement in order to make an offer. So I want you guys to go over this list and let me know which items you're prepared to do without even when we do find the right home for you. So that they were in that mental capacity, right? And then with that as well as if they have to get a loan, run the lender through the ringer. Make it so that approval letter is written only based on a satisfied appraisal report. Make everybody do their job up front.
Great input, Todd. Guys, if you're just that agent who says how high when they say jump, stop it. Okay, seriously, just stop doing that. We've got to up the professionalism of this game and have that initial counseling session with the buyer prior to running out and showing them houses. Okay, seriously, do yourself a favor, do them a favor. The goal of the initial counseling session is to set and then manage the appropriate expectations. Seriously, stop writing 5, 6, 7 offers for each of the buyers you get under contract. How most agents do it is they'll run out, they'll show them a house. And of course, you narrow it down to the one after showing 7, 8, 10 properties, narrow it down to the one that they want to buy. And what do most buyers want to do? Of course, they want to come in below the request price. It's not going to work in today's world. You've got to set and then manage the appropriate expectations, right? What is the average list price to sales price ratio in your market area? I'm guessing it's above 100%, right? You got to set those expectations. I've got a team that I coach out in California, a large team. In fact, they were the #1 team at Keller Williams for 7 years in a row before they made the decision to come over to EXP. And they're going 20 to 25% above the list price, guys. And if you're working with a standard buyer out there, they don't know this. They buy a home on average once every 7 to 8 years, okay? And yet they're going to tell you how to do your job. No, you got to set the rules of the game, man. You got to set the appropriate expectations, then manage those expectations throughout the process. Now, another thought that I had, and this is something that I did repeatedly when I sold in Denver, Colorado, me and my team, over 4,000 homes over there. Okay, guys, so here's what we did in multiple offer situations. We requested the listing agent that we be present during the presentation of all offers, whether it was on a conference call, a Zoom meeting, or face-to-face if the listing agent was going to actually go over to the seller's home, which was kind of the standard practice back in those days in Denver, Colorado. I requested that I could be physically present during the presentation of all offers. Again, totally unorthodox. In most markets, that's not how it's done, yet it never hurts to ask. Then I would invite the buyers to come along with me. And if it was at the seller's home, I would just ask them, meet me at the address. I want you to park your car. I want you to wait. I'm going to go in. I'm going to negotiate on your behalf. And I'm going to make sure that we win this house for you. Okay. So we'd all go in, they'd present all the offers, including mine. After the presentation of all offers, I would turn to the listing agent. I would say it out loud in front of the seller. I would say, so if my buyers are willing to step up to this amount, exclude this, and change the closing date to this and shorten the inspection, sounds like we have a deal. Isn't that right? Then I'd look at the seller.
It sounds like you're being
look back at the
proactive.
listing agent, and I would let them just talk. And the seller would say, well, that sounds good to me. Listing agent says, that sounds good to me. Well, let's go ahead and write the counter proposal. In fact, my buyers are so motivated to get your home. They're so committed to closing on this property. They're parked out in front of your house right now. Let's get the counter proposal together right now. I'll walk it out to them. We'll sign it. We'll be under contract in the next 20 minutes. Guys, there is nothing that says you can't do that.
I was just going to say, it sounds like you're being really proactive. You mean you meet with the client before you show them homes?
Yeah.
And if that client doesn't say they're willing to compete in this market, you don't work with them, maybe, right? You make the choice.
Yeah, I mean, do the math with them, right? Do the math. Average list price, well, first average price, let's call it 500,000. Average list price to sales price ratio is 120%, which means that the sellers are getting a heck of a lot more than what they're asking for. In fact, I share this information with you right now, Mr. or Mrs. Buyer, because frankly, I would rather turn you down now than disappoint you later. If you think you could come in and offer 1,000 or 2,000 or even 10,000 less than the request price, actually expect to get the home under contract. So I have a very direct question for you right now, Mr. or Mrs. Buyer. If I found you that home at 500,000 and you had to go up to 600,000 in order to buy it, is that going to be okay with you? Say yes.
Yes.
What you have to do is set and manage the appropriate expectations, guys. And if you fail to do that, well, shame on you. Okay, it's not their fault. It's not the market's fault. It's not the listing agent's fault that you're writing 5 or 6 or 7 offers for each of the buyers. Guys, you work so hard to show them all the homes, get them on paper. You got to be like a bulldog on a bone. You cannot let that thing go. Do everything in your power to make sure that you get their offer accepted. Everything you can. And that's exactly the strategies we're talking about. So let's recap real quick. Shon Kokoszka brought to light something that I had never heard of before. To get gift funds from a friend or a family member. Maybe they have a 401k or maybe, Shon, let me ask a question. Can you do it with the equity in a property if they had a HELOC that they're not using or something like that?
Yeah, you can. Home equity line of credit can be used as proof of funds. Anything that the seller is going to accept as proof of funds from your gift party, the donor, the family member, again, you gotta disclose that you're changing your loan program, but you're doing that after, like 3 weeks into the deal or 14 days into the deal. If you're performing on everything else, as long as it's going to close, the seller shouldn't have a problem with that.
I love it. Okay, Todd, the idea of the moving truck and making the seller's life as easy as possible. Fantastic idea, you guys. Getting a house cleaner in after the moving company is left so that the seller doesn't have to worry about it. Getting somebody to do the touch-up paint after they've taken the pictures off the wall, pulled the nails out of the wall. I mean, why not make it easy for them? Sometimes they'll go with the easiest offer, not the highest offer. I love it. So other ideas, increase the earnest money. Guys, that's an easy strategy. Anybody can do that, right? And then of course, pay attention to the due diligence deadlines, of course. Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Don't let the cat out of the bag, by the way. Great strategy to get the listing agent to commit. When am I going to present this offer? So many great ideas flying fast at you guys. I just wanted to recap real quick. What did I miss, by the way? Because there's been like 30 ideas that have come out of this group thus far.
Another one is just that you have to have a lender who's willing to go to battle with you, and you have to, and it's so essential that your lender contact the listing agent directly. That's a winning strategy, I think. I mean, it's kind of an older one, but it's something where it's showing that sincerity. I use a local lender here in town, and it creates a personal relationship as well.
Like you said, battle, Lee. So imagine the OK Corral, and you got, 2 cowboys lined up face to face, and they both have weapon belts. Well, this is the way we look at this. Is the way I look at it. I might be crazy, but we have weapon belts, and we have all these weapons we can use to get an offer accepted. And so each one of these considered as one of our weapons, one of our tools in our tool belt. And one of them is the lender. That is one of your tools, one of your weapons. And so another factor is timing. So timing is essential to a seller. We have money, we have earnest money, we have making it easier. And one of those ways we can do that is through timing. And so what we can do is create and offer a closing window. So let it be wide open, give them a 2 or 3 week time frame within which we can actually close. And then on the tail end, for the seller to move out, offer them 60 days. We do a lot of post-closing occupancy in Michigan. I know other parts of the country that's not normal. Here it's normal to give them 15, 20, 30 days anyway. We're bumping that out and saying, hey, we can let you stay in that home for up to 60 days, 100 days after your offer is accepted. So the tools in the tool belt, and look, if you're not doing everything, if you're not using all of the tools, and sometimes it's a matter of not being aware of the tools. Hey, now you know though, right? And with this information, it becomes a massive responsibility. So now use all of your tools that are available to you. So hopefully this is allowing you to put a few more in your tool belt today.
Okay, a couple of other things real quick, guys. We want you to join our community. Okay, we want to add value to you, training, coaching, free of charge. Okay, we just want you to join this community. We want you to be able to send and receive referrals from the people inside the Icon Producers community. So 2 things real quick. Number 1, I want you to go to Facebook. I want you to join our group, Icon Producers. Do it right now. Icon Producers. Just look it up. There's so much valuable content that we're posting there day after day, week after week. And we're going to keep doing that so that we can help improve your knowledge, your skills, mindset, and habits. Okay. Second thing I want you to do, I want you to see if you qualify for actually free coaching with me directly or with our partners, Tim and Julie Harris, by simply going to meetwithicons.com. Meetwithicons.com. You're going to see an opportunity to engage in 4 different group sessions. I'm going to ask that you do that right now. Meetwithicons, that's plural.com. Make that happen. And you may be able to qualify to coach with me directly for free. Okay, so we'll see how that works out. Yet we want you to join our team. We want you to join our community. There's no doubt about that, of like-minded people who choose to crush it with their real estate careers. And we're going to show you exactly how to do that. All right, so some other strategies. Let's talk about negotiating with the listing agent. What are you guys doing to establish that rapport with the listing agent? Because the bottom line is that's where the deal comes together, right? It's the relationship. Their willingness to say, looks like this offer is going to beat you out by X number of dollars. Guys, I've had listing agents that I was in relationship with, that we had a mutual respect for each other, that would just call me up and I'd say, okay, where do we need to be? They'd say, if you bring your offer up to this number, it's yours. Guys, I mean, it's the relationship, it's the rapport, it's your ability and your reputation that's going to help pull you through some of these multiple offer situations and win every time. So what's your number 1 strategy? Todd, talk to me. How do you create friends with that listing agent?
Sure. Well, I mean, fortunately for me, I've been in for 17 years, so I've got quite a few, but there's a lot of new agents that don't know. So I'm always trying to be helpful, giving advice or supporting them however I can. But I'm kind of smiling because I actually had an idea where, because one of the listing things that I've done in the past is I would offer like a free mobile detailed gift certificate when somebody buys my listings as the listing agent. And as you were talking, Sean, it hit me in the back of the head with a 2x4. So why am I not doing that as the buyer's agent? Did it for the listing agent to create that rapport, right? What realtor doesn't want a free, clean car and have them come right to them hassle free? So I'm writing that down right now. I just thought of that. Just boom.
Powerful idea. What are some other things you guys can do to create that relationship with the listing agent?
Well, I think, excuse me, I think that the first thing is you just treat it like any other type of relationship that we create in real estate sales, and you just set the expectation. So when we communicate with the listing agent, we tell them what our goal is. Like my goal in presenting this offer to you is that I become like your most favorite agent of all time. Like your very most favorite. Like, what can we do that would make you think, whenever you hear the name David Torgerson, you're like, oh my goodness, I love that guy. Like, what do you like to do? Do you golf? Do you like gift cards? Do you like this? What can we do? And we found that when you open it up, well, I'll backtrack real quick. The words that we use are really, really, really important. So when you let them know my goal with this is to blank, then you're letting them know exactly what it is that you're doing. So you're not doing the same thing that every other agent is doing and just like throwing stuff at them. Like, how about this? How about that? How about that? Because they might not like it. And it does come across as disingenuous. But when you ask the questions to people like, what do you want? You can go into rapport building quickly.
No doubt.
You just have to make sure that you give them what they want.
Another shot, Sean, we're going to come back to you. Another thought is, how do you humanize the buyer to the listing agent and potentially the seller? I mean, we've talked about the love letters and that sort of thing. By the way, I know that's been outlawed in the state of California, that you're going to write this sappy love letter because of fair housing laws and things like that. Yet, by the way, if you're in a state where you can do love letters, I'd say do it all the time. Get the buyer to write the seller a letter telling their story, okay? Because you want to humanize that buyer. It's no longer just a contract and an earnest money check. It's now a real person, a real family behind that. Now, if you're reticent about this and because you're afraid that the listing agent is not going to present the letter to the seller, they're just going to bury it in the trash can, file it in the trash can. tell your buyers to compliment the listing agent in the first paragraph of the letter. Think about it. Yeah, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, the first thing I want to say is I'm really impressed by your real estate agent. They did such a great job with the marketing. The brochures looked great. We found it online that easy. They did a phenomenal job. And our buyer's agent is telling them that, telling us that he's wonderful to negotiate with as well. You know, the first paragraph, compliment the listing agent. See, then the listing agent's going to take that letter and he's going to run to the seller with it. You follow me? They're not going to file it in the trash can because they want to stroke their own ego, pat themselves on the back all the way to present it. Okay, good stuff.
That's
okay,
good.
Shon, back to you. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Kevin.
I was just, synapses are firing left and right here. So when you said that, I thought, well, that's interesting. If a picture's worth 1,000 words, what's a video worth? So if you could do the same thing with using the video strategy, but bring your buyers into the video with you, compliment the listing agent and ask them to share that with the seller.
I was just going to say,
could we not just share that video through, oh, I don't know, Facebook Messenger, maybe hit the seller right with a message? Potentially. I love that. I'm doing that. Thanks for the
yeah,
way to go, Kevin. And I love these little mastermind sessions. That's kind of what it feels like. Not so much like a webinar, it feels like a mastermind session to me. Now, other things that you can do beyond humanizing the buyer, I think in order to make sure that your buyer's prepared to step up as high as possible, what you want to do is create an emotional attachment between the buyer and the home. An emotional attachment. So how do you do that? I think getting them to write that love letter to the seller creates that automatically. I remember a time where I had some clients in the conference room. I stepped out to write the offer. I asked them to write the letter to the seller. I come in and she is literally sobbing. Tears. She's got Kleenex and she's sobbing. She wanted the house so desperately and it was multiple offer situation. So getting them to write the letter, that's one thing. Another thing you could do is take pictures of them inside the property. Kids picking out their bedrooms. Do little videos of the kids having fun in the backyard or doing whatever that they're doing. By the way, as you step out, you're going to write this offer. Ask them to stand on the front porch. You want to commemorate the moment. Take a picture of them standing on the front porch. Now, you're going to keep that to yourself because of fair housing. You can't necessarily send that off to the seller or the listing agent. Yet, keep that to yourself. And let's just say that you present this offer and the seller then and the listing agent, they counter the offer. I would encourage you to send the counter to the buyer along with the pictures, along with the videos, just to get them back to that emotional state that they were in when they made the decision to buy this house. It creates that emotional attachment. One of the things that we would do also at TKG, that's the Kokoszka group in Arvada, Colorado, the moment that a buyer went under contract on a property, we had it set up through our title company. They would print off like 5 pages, 8.5 by 11 of the return address labels with a thumbnail picture of the property, the buyer's, you know, the Kokoszka family, what the address of the buyer, the buyer's home that they're buying, and we would immediately get our courier to deliver that over to those buyers so that they had their return address labels. Now think about that. What is that doing? Doesn't that get them psychologically to move into this property? Can't they now see themselves living there? I remember there's a couple, they were going FHA. There's some problems with the property. They had to shift over to 5% down conventional. They were calling for gift letters. They're reaching out to friends, family members. They're doing whatever it takes. And I called them. I said, I'm just so impressed with your commitment to buy this property. What can I do to help? And he said, well, Shon, we had to be committed. I said, why is that? And I said, we already have the return address labels, you understand? So creates that emotional attachment. And by the way, just a couple of rapid fire things real fast. One of the things that irritated me more than anything is that once I get an offer accepted, if it's going to fall apart, it's probably going to fall apart due to the inspection. You guys with me on this? Where the buyer, of course, first, there's several problems here. The listing agent, or excuse me, the inspector, they need to justify their fee, don't they? And in justification of their fee, they're going to create this laundry list of all these items and they're going to turn a molehill into a mountain, right? So they got to justify their fee. That's problem number one. Problem number two is then the buyer wants to go to the seller with this laundry list of items. And what does the seller say? They kind of draw the line in the sand and say, listen, they're not buying a brand new house. It's the principle of the thing. And the deal blows up, right? So here's what we did. We negotiated with a past client of ours who happened to own a handyman company. Now, he wanted to grow his book of business. So I approached him and said, listen, we want to provide to every one of our sellers, every one of our buyers, 2 hours for free of your handyman service. And I want a 50% discount on your hourly wage. I said, it'll help you build a book of business. And whether they use you or not, we're still going to give them the 2 hours and I'm still going to pay for the 2 hours. Yet I want 50% of your hourly wage. He agreed to do it because he recognized that once he started into a project, even on a brand new home, they want pictures hung, they want wall coverings hung, they want or window coverings hung, excuse me. He agreed to do it. And so here's what happened. When the buyer would get the inspection report and my client care manager for buyers would get it, they would immediately send it over to the home to the handyman. The handyman would say, okay, in 2 hours, I could do this, 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 and this. So rather than sending this laundry list of honeydew projects over to the seller to have them repair it, we paid the handyman to make that happen. So rather than going to them with 25 things, we went to them with, say, 3. Guys, it greased the skids. It brought us to a successful negotiation of the inspection. By the way, we list the property. They'd call the handyman over. They would repair this. They would repair that. The property showed better. So bottom line is, it's very inexpensive. And it's an easy way to make sure that the deals that you're writing, getting under contract and escrow or pending, that they stay together through that home inspection process. All right. So other thoughts, guys? We're nearing the end of our time together, right? So what are your thoughts?
Let me just echo on something that you said before, Sean. But one thing that I've done when talking to listing agents is I've really tried to let the listing agent know that the buyers kind of understand the seller's story with the property, because if the property is really, really well loved, oftentimes, you know, the seller has an emotional attachment to it. And if you can communicate that the buyer understands all that history, that can be really impactful.
No doubt, Lee. I 100% agree. Kevin, go ahead.
Yeah, that's good. I was on that make it easy for the seller or the handyman. I don't know if you guys have it in your state, but we have an inspection company locally here in Grand Rapids that sent out an email. They're doing inspections at a discounted rate. It's kind of a pre-inspection. They will inspect the home with the buyer. And so if you have a buyer that has a home that hits an area that they absolutely love and the location's prime and that checks all the boxes, if you don't have that, have your inspector put that together. It's not too hard. Have them walk through the home during the showing, block off an hour or as much time as you can, and then have that home inspected during that time. So then it leads me to the next strategy, which is do an as-is sale. It's just a pass-fail. Just write as-is and big, just take your Sharpie, big red marker. This is an as-is sale right across that. And it doesn't mean that the buyer can't back out as a result of due diligence. It simply means they're not going to ask the seller for anything. As is. And that's a very clear, compelling message to get that offer across the finish line without any hassle. Sellers want what? They want finality. That's what they want. That's why the guaranteed sale works. I want to be done. I don't want any hassle. Don't bug me after I've negotiated with you. So as is, no inspections, done deal.
Love it. Kevin, awesome. Awesome. Okay. We got 3 minutes, guys. What else? What other words of wisdom? David, take it away.
Well, yeah. So what we wind up with in this market, like my team, is that we've got like this huge pile of buyers. And then of course the inventory is really low. So instead of, just looking at the MLS all the time, and having to call the buyers up and say, whoa, yeah, I'm sorry, there isn't anything on the market. We'll call you tomorrow. Take those buyers and leverage them and turn them into listings. Because I've not met a single seller that gets excited about the idea of putting their house on the market. Every seller wants to sell, but none of them want to market. None of them, because they have to stage, they have to get the photos, they have to, basically move out of the house for like the first 3 days that it's on the market. They can't live there. They're moving the dogs around, they're moving the kids around, they're moving all this stuff around. Like they don't want to do that. So if you can go to a seller and say, hey, we've got somebody that will offer you what it is that you want for the property, plus probably even a little bit more on top, because they don't have to like deal with, competing offers. Would you be interested in that? And we pull a ton of 2 sides off of that, just a ton. So it leaves this vacuum in the market for innovative people to do innovative things.
It really
That's
does.
good.
So advertising the needs of your buyers will help you get those seller leads, guys. Buyers call on houses, sellers call on buyers. Remember that. Now, most agents, they work a half cycle kind of a sales process. They work hard, they get a listing, okay? They advertise the listing, that brings them buyers. So then they get the listing under contract, they work with the buyers, get the buyers under contract, and then they have to start the cycle again. They go back up top to get more listings. Guys, get a listing, advertise the listing, get buyers. get the buyers, advertise the needs of the buyers. That brings you down here to get another listing, you understand. Advertise the listing, brings you more buyers, advertise the buyers, brings you, and it creates this full cycle sales process rather than this jerking back and forth, right? What you want to do is you want to create this full circle, this whole cycle sales process. The only way to do that, advertise the needs of your buyers. You can do it on social channels, direct mail, email campaigns, ringless voicemail drops into communities, neighborhoods, right? Where you can get access to the data through slide broadcast, or with EXP, KV Core, which is for free, included in the technology fee, right? You can do ringless voicemail drops where it costs you about 3.5 cents per voicemail. Think about it. You could communicate your voice on the recording device, the mobile device, or whatever number you've got of that individual for 3.5 cents. You could do 1,000 people for 35 bucks. Telling them, I've got this great family that I'm representing. They're looking to buy a home in the Woodland Valley market. And I've shown them everything. Inventory is really low. I need your help. If you're at all considering selling your house in the next 6 months, please reach out to me directly. I can make this smooth, easy for you and these clients that I'm really desperately trying to help. Here's my phone number. Give me a call. And you can do 1,000 people for $35 through slide broadcast or KV Core. Guys, it's a powerful strategy. Love it. Okay, guys, we're at the end of our time. Any other last thoughts, parting thoughts, words of wisdom?
What you
Just
were
to
saying,
piggyback
John?
on
Go ahead.
I was going to say, just piggyback on the end of that with what David said is truly what he's doing is just creating listing opportunities with off-market properties, right? Off MLS. I mean, so you could use the same strategy with expired listings and for sell by owners as well. You know, there is no competition if they're not on the market. So you're not competing.
To a real quick point, I want to say, if you have a buyer that you would have under contract by midnight tonight, if you had the right home to show them, you've already saved their criteria in MLS, go back into MLS, change the search criteria from active searches to canceled, expired, and withdrawn. Open up the filter, go 3 years back. It's going to pull back all these properties that expired 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that meet the needs of the buyer that you had, and sadly it expired. And here's the script. Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. This is Shon Kokoszka with eXp Realty. Thank you so much for taking my call. See, the reason that I'm reaching out is because you were trying to sell your home 18 months ago. I see that it expired. I wanted to call to congratulate you. See, if you'd sold your home 18 months ago, do you realize how much equity you would have left on the table? In fact, do you know what that home would fetch in today's market? By the way, if you were to sell that property, what might you do with the extra money? Why is that important to you? And in a perfect world, in an ideal world, when would that be? I've got fantastic news. I've got a buyer that is actually looking for a home that meets the features and benefits of the house that you were trying to sell. I wonder, can we make a deal happen here? Guys, it's a really simple strategy, but you're calling to congratulate them that their house didn't sell. You're taking those negative feelings, turning it into positive. They'll be open to have a conversation with you. All right, gang, anything else?
Hey, Sean, just on that vein of calling expireds, if you go through the pending and under contract, you'll find listings that you missed out on, maybe on a multiple offer, or you didn't get a chance to even make an offer. Call the agents, find it. Hey, are you having problems with your escrow? You'll find ones that are falling out of escrow, and they'll tell you what they pretty much needed to match that offer, and you don't have to compete with the rest of the market.
Thank you, Sean. I can't believe that none of us brought that up, because that is a powerful strategy. Seriously, to submit backup offers on those that are under contract in escrow or pending. Seriously. And by the way, you can do multiple backup offers on multiple different properties. And a lot of these buyers, by the way, like my next door neighbor just sold his house sight unseen to a family from Philadelphia. They didn't even see it. Okay. And by the way, after it went under contract, they flew in, did the home inspection. And oftentimes, two-dimensionally, it looks like one thing. Three-dimensionally, it looks like something else. They might just say, not exactly what we expected, and they want to back out during the inspection period. So powerful strategy. Sean, thank you. That was the cherry on the top of what we just built. Okay, so great job, everybody. And my hat is off to each and every one of you. Our Icon Producer team, guys, we're going to bring this to you every other week. Again, iconproducers.com. Register for the next one that comes up. Register even if you can't make it. We'll send you the replay link. And if you want to see if you qualify to coach for free with us, by the way, and to join our community, just go to meetwithicons.com. Guys, there's no upsell here. We're not trying to sell you anything. We do not want in your wallet, period. End of story. We just want to add value to you. We want to give you the knowledge, skills, mindset habits to increase your trajectory and just really blow it up in 2021. So meet with icons, that's plural, meetwithicons.com. Guys, we'll see you on the other side. I trust, if nothing else, in the next 2 weeks are on the Icon Producers Facebook group. Okay, be sure to join that. Thank you, everybody. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, everyone.
Have fun.
See ya.